So, number one, a band that we are going to cover a little bit later in the decade in their second album. We're going to be covering Slow Ride. So you want to run the
Slow
numbers?
dive.
That's what I said, right? Slow
You
Dive.
said slow ride.
Did I say?
Like,
Oh wow, I
take
combined them.
it easy.
Yeah, that
Slow.
and also I combined them with another shoegaze band,
Oh,
Ride, that
did
we
you?
covered. Yeah,
Right. That's
yeah.
right. Yes.
But give
So
us
this is
the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Slow Dive with their record Just for a Day. Comes in at number 273 in the 1990s on Best Ever Albums, number 25 in 1991, number 1,469 of all time. It's Slow Dive's fourth highest rated album on Best Ever Albums. And it did not make Rolling Stone's list, and Slow Dive is ranked number 127 of overall artist rankings on Best Ever Albums. Wow, that's pretty.
That's pretty high. Yeah.
127. Yeah.
Well, and I
So,
think Josh said he made the montages for us sight unseen. I believe he used Catch the Breeze for the montage, so you are most likely going to hear that right now. Okay. So, actually, what am I saying?
it was probably at the beginning of the episode.
So if you hear an awkward pause right there, we don't have Josh to put stuff in, so I apologize. So just
all
laugh
good.
at my expense right there. You heard it at the beginning. So, and for to double down, it's probably not even Catch the Breeze. But what'd you think of this one, Matt?
Yeah, so I didn't know any. This is a band that I've heard of, but there's so many of these bands out there. I'm like, yeah, I kind of heard something about them, but it just shows you what we're now able to do, because you can have access to really any album, whether it's on Spotify or you just YouTube it. It's just everything's out there for your consumption.
Yeah,
now.
can you imagine what this podcast would have been like if we had to like go collect CDs and listen to them?
I'd be broke.
Yeah, or we just
Yeah.
would have had to, dive through the bin, and
Yeah.
and then each of us could buy one and burn it for the others.
Yeah, it would be way more work than what we're doing right now. But
Do you want to know a little bit about Slow Dive before you give your take?
Go ahead.
Give a really quick description right here. So Slow Dive, this album was released on September 2nd, 1991.
it's their debut album. If
It
I'm
is
not
their
mistaken.
debut
Yeah.
album. Yep. Going from All Music, so thanks so much for the quick thing here. Formed in Reading, England in late 1989. The original group was Nick Chaplin on bass, Rachel Goswell on guitar and vocals, Neil Halstead on guitar and vocals, Christian Seville on guitar, and Adrian Sell on drums. They had started out as a band called the Pumpkin Fairies. Interesting name right there. And they eventually had some lineup changes, and this is their first one. And it placed in the top 10 of the indie charts and number 32 on the pop charts of the UK, not in the United. And it does seem like it would track a little bit higher in the UK at this time.
Yep.
Along the way. And yeah, that's kind of where it's at. There's not a lot of other stuff, at least on the initial bio right here.
Yeah.
I'll try to weave some stuff in as I read, but go ahead with your take, Matt.
Yeah, so this is like, I know it's kind of in the shoegaze genre. To me, this is, I don't know, this sounds more dream pop.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're considered they're in both genres, but they're considered to be more of a seminal dream pop band.
And you could hear the overlap, right? I mean, yes, this sounds more to me like Cocteau Twins than it does My Bloody Valentine.
Correct, yes.
So it's very smooth. Like there's some synths in here. There is guitar, but it's more of like a kind of a crisper, cleaner, dreamier kind of guitar. A lot of reverb, a lot of echoey, effects on not only the guitar but also the vocals. And I like this. This is kind of, it's too bad Josh isn't here because I would like to hear his take. I don't know if this is something he would warm up to more.
He wouldn't hate it as much as shoegaze, but I don't think he's gonna like it either. Yeah.
But there's a similarity. I see why there's similarities between shoegaze and dream pop, because they're both sounds that kind of wash over you, right?
Absolutely.
It's like this. There's no, we've talked about albums
That's the Venn
before.
diagram overlap. Yep.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, we've talked about albums and artists and music before that has space, right? And it's kind of like letting things just kind of be. This is not doing that. This is kind of like, along with the drums and guitar and the vocals, you basically have somebody's fingers and hands down on like a synth that's just holding notes, right? And just playing continuously through the
flang guitar. Sometimes I call it like gauzy guitar. That sound is definitely here.
Yeah. So it's one of those albums that you can kind of get lost in. And there can be, I think, there can be a samey element to this kind of thing because there's not, I wouldn't say that there's a ton of variety, but I still find it just generally very pleasing to listen to. I like the songs that kind of, like, to me the best song of this album is the last one, Primal. It just, the way that it builds is just into more of a cacophonous kind of sound where it's just a lot of stuff happening and kind of intensity is coming at you. Not all the songs do that, but I think that kind of the strength in this is when they kind of do build like that. Waves was another song that stood out to me. I think maybe Catch the Breeze was one as well that had just like a, you're kind of playing the song to up a certain point, and then all of a sudden the guitar comes in and it's a heavier, slightly menacing guitar sound that just adds a layer of depth and complexity to it. It's definitely somber, right? That's the other thing too. It's kind of, it's not necessarily happy music, but because there's this kind of like, there's a darker undertone with it, but I wouldn't say it's a depressing record. I kind of find it, in some ways actually quite uplifting, but there's a lot of interesting different juxtapositions happening there, because while it is kind of a somber sounding kind of record, it also, I don't know, I don't feel sad. I feel maybe contemplative, maybe it's if I'm listening to it at some points, but just pretty solid. I know that they're it's not they're considered their best. I know one of the, was it Slovakia or something like that is the name of the
that's
album.
Considered their masterpiece.
That's like the big one, Souvlaki, yeah. And so, but this is a debut album, so it's kind of, it's pretty solid for that. And I did enjoy it. I like this kind of thing, this dream pop, kind of just put it on at night or put it on, first thing in the morning, just when you want something kind of in the background to kind of wash over you a little bit.
Day, I agree with you. That's the best time to listen to an album like this.
Exactly, right. It's not a party album, right? But it's a nice.
Depends on the party.
That's fair. You've got some substances, but I think this is something that could be in the background, but it also could be something on headphones, which I did once. It was like, like cool sounds happening, and a little Pink Floyd vibe too, I think, with some of the dream pop stuff. I don't know if we've talked about that directly, but there's certainly similarities there in terms of the oral presentation of the music. It's kind of like this very, intense, dreamy,
AURAL, oral, correct?
Oral, yes. Synthy kind of focus, but overall very good, very easy to listen to, and very also sounding like lots of rock, quote unquote rock music of today. This is something like the echoey nature. This is definitely something that took off, and it's certainly an indie rock in the 2000s and 10s and 2020s.
Early 2010s especially. Late 2009, 8, 9, 10, 11. The sound of that era to me.
I just feel like when I turn on XMU on Sirius XM radio, like the indie rock station, it's just tons of stuff that sounds similar to this. I know they aren't the ones that started it, but they certainly are at the beginning of it. And this is the sound.
5 years we'll cover those albums, Matt.
Yeah. Seriously. So, but it's definitely something. This has stood the test of time. So this could have been a record that came out today because of that. So I'm thumbs up on it. I did enjoy this.
Yeah, I'm a fan of dream pop as a sound, so it's going to be a thumbs up for me too. There is that argument that there isn't a lot of variation. I hate the thing that's happening in the 90s where bands are just putting as much music as they can on the CD. I don't know if that was like, we want to give people our money's worth for the $20 that we were starting to charge, if that's where it's coming from, or just the CD as a format allowed you to put more music, so it's just a natural progression, right? Of you have more space, you could put more on it compared to, say, a cassette or a record, right? That's one of my complaints.
Well, because you probably listened to, this are only 9, if you listen to the true album, it's only 9 songs at 43 minutes.
Okay, gotcha. So the one I listened to had a disc 1 and a disc 2.
Yeah, the disc 2 is a 2005 reissue bonus disc. So you did way more than I stopped. I did one of those things where because I saw how many tracks were on that, and I was like, "There's no way this album
That's
was
what I get
that
for
long."
not doing my homework.
Yeah.
So okay. Well,
it
that
stops.
Makes, yes.
This album stops at number 9, Primal. That's when I said my favorite song
gotcha.
being Primal. That's the last song. So,
well, that's kind of funny because the second part of the album, disc 2, the song Slow Dive and then Avalon 1 and 2 are awesome. they're
really?
Great.
I should listen to them then.
Songs, yeah.
Okay.
They might be my favorite songs on the entire album. So,
wow.
Yeah. And there's actually a pretty great song at the end of, not quite the last song, but called Golden Hair as well, that I thought you were referencing when you said the end. But yeah, Primal's a highlight too. Yeah, this is a very appealing sound for me. I think when we talk dream pop, right, this sounds like early Cure, I would say, for sure, is a sonic linch point for people looking for it. Cocteau Twins certainly is here. Julie Cruz, remember that album we did?
The Twin Peaks lady, yeah.
Definitely when the female singer comes in here, there's some elements to that sort of ethereal, I use the term gauzy as well, sound that I think is there. I like the fact that they juxtapose a female singer with a male singer because it does have a different vibe when both of them sing. I don't know how to describe it. The female parts seem almost like soft and dream-like in the highest degree, but when it goes too long, it does have a little bit of like a new agey feel with the women's like vocal, right? Whereas on the male vocal, I don't get the new agey thing, but it's I mean, as much as this can be heavy, which is not really heavy, it's a little bit of a weightier sound, I'd say, but also I noticed that on the guys one, there's a little bit more snarling guitar. So it does, when we talk about it, has a little bit of a shoegaze vibe. It's definitely the male fronted songs where I got that more for. We've talked about dream pop a lot, so I don't want to just keep using the same benchmarks later too. But obviously, Real Estate, Beach House, right? Like those are corollaries that are going to come later. But I think this stands on their own, and I'm actually very curious to see their later albums, because I'm curious to see, because we saw with the Cocteau Twins, right? Like I felt every Cocteau Twins album we did got stronger. And I liked all of them, more so than you guys did, but I just thought each and every album we did from the Cocteau Twins, they added more layers to it, and they kept refining their sound a little bit and adding new tricks to the puzzle. And I'm curious to see if Slowdive does that, or if they're kind of like a one-trick pony in terms of just all dream pop, wash over you dream pop, or do they add in maybe a little bit more distortion? Do they add in a little bit more rock guitar? Do they add in a little bit more plugging bass, synth? I'm curious to see if they add some stuff and what makes that other album stand out above this one.
Yeah, we're supposed to. Yeah, so that one's going to be
like 95-ish, I think.
Souvlaki 93.
Oh, okay.
So it's coming up soon.
Okay, yeah.
Because we're about to start 92. And then they have a self-titled album from 2017 that cracked the top 100 of the 2010s. So we're going to cover them in 2 seasons.
Wow, I didn't even realize that. Okay,
yeah. So if it's and then they had a new album that's actually behind this that came out in 2023. So I think they went. Really? I did do a little bit of research on them. They were together for a while, and then they kind of broke up and went on hiatus. There were other bands that they formed, which for me was kind of interesting because their drummer went on to play with a band called Low Gold, which was an album that I had. A friend of mine burned that. It's a UK band from like 2000 that I really liked, so I thought that was cool. And then the main singer-songwriters formed a trio called Mojave 3, which was another album that I had from a friend that burned it for me, and they went in a more of a folk acoustic direction. So it's not dream pop or shoegaze at all. It's like a country folk album kind of thing. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's like almost like a band prototype for this, that you have like exactly one female member of the group and then a variety of other guys. Many of them, I just think off the top of my head, right? That's Cocteau Twins are like that. Galaxy 500 is like that, who's another band that shares similarities with this band for sure. I just feel like that seems to be, we'll do Mazzy Star down the road, right? And that's another group that has a female and a male, although I think it's only 2 pieces, right? So I feel like that's a little bit.
My Bloody Valentine.
House, My Bloody Valentine. Yeah, there's Sonic Youth, right? There's a lot of these bands with a female, right, as the representative. And even a band like Garbage, which isn't exactly in it, but has some elements of the shoegaze sound.
Oh, sure.
Like
Absolutely.
That. Yeah. So, I just think it's very interesting that like each of these bands is like, you're going to have exactly one female in this group. Yeah.
Yeah, and if she plays an instrument, it's probably going to be the bass too.
Yeah, even people influenced by this sound, like Smashing Pumpkins and Silver Sun pickups and stuff, right? They follow the rule as well.
Yep.
So
Oh look, Rolling Stone gave this 2 stars.
of course they did. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
They,
So, well, they got, apparently there's 3 other albums that are better than this that they do, and we're going to cover 2 of them. So, yeah, I'm excited. I
look forward to it.
especially Souvlaki. I want to hear that one.
This one's a thumbs up for me, and it sounds like
too.
it is for you as well.
Absolutely.
And let's go ahead and say it's a thumbs down for Josh.
Yeah. Preemptive.
So,
I don't get
we'll
this.
just go ahead
What
and
is this
scare you.
crap?
It annoys me that you guys like this album so much. Yes.
He's got it. Don't you think he's got to like something like this
He'll
much
like
more
this.
than My Bloody Valentine?
Yes, he'll like Dream Pop. He
Yeah.
has his, with the exception of that Galaxy 500 album, which he, to this day, I don't quite understand why he hated it so much.
I wonder
but,
if he went back and listened to that, if he would feel differently.
well, yeah, but he hated the Cocteau Twins too.
He didn't. I thought he was warming up to that by the second time we covered
But
them,
no, when we
I
did
can't
Heaven or
remember.
Las Vegas, he finally, and that was the album in the 90s.
Yeah.
It was like the 3rd time, yeah. He liked the Julie Cruz album. He hated the album that was most like this, which is Pornography. It's a harsher.
Oh, I
version
wasn't
of
a big
this,
fan of
but
pornography. I don't know if I would say that this is like pornography.
It's if you took this sound and made it harsh, that's what Pornography is.
Okay.